Okay, so it is time for another mini book review. If you have not joined me for my mini book reviews before, basically what we do is we go back through the week to see the books that I've read, and I just give you a mini review of them. So I give you a little bit of spoiler free, and then we jump into some spoilers. And you guys, we need to talk about this one, Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Okay, what can I say in this spoiler free section? This book is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I planned to read this book over the course of 3 days. I read it in 2. I could have easily read it in 1 because Stephanie Garber is, oh my goodness, an amazing author. And I'm so happy because I came into 2021 with some kind of anxiety that I wouldn't find an author that I loved as much as authors that I came to love in 2020. But Stephanie Garber has certainly, thrown that right out the window because I've just fallen in love with her as an author so quickly. This book captivated me basically, I want to say from the beginning, and I was so captivated by this book. Stephanie Garber does an amazing job of taking you on a trip, and I mean, I don't mean she's taking you on a quest or anything like that. You guys who know me know that I don't like the traveling/questing trope. I don't. So that's not what I mean. What I mean is, like, this book is rather trippy. I have to say, it is. But the tagline on the book is "Remember, it's only a game," and at a certain point in the book, which I don't want to say too much, but before we get into the spoiler section, but at a certain point in the book, our characters are told, just be careful to not go mad because this kind of thing can drive people mad. I was mad by the end of this book. Like, not mad as in angry, but mad as in, ooh, because seriously, it was just so well done. I was so captivated. I was so hooked in to this book. It was unbelievable. Here's a spoiler for you as far as what's coming up for me. My next 2 books that I planned to read were the classic, The Phantom of the Opera, and then after the classic, The Phantom of the Opera, I was going to read the fantasy, The City of Bones, the first book in that whole, Shadowhunters series. But I am very much a stickler for my TBR. Once I know the exact books I'm going to read for that month, I actually plan out in my monthly calendar exactly when I'm going to read each book, and not just I'm going to read this book and this book in week 1, but on day 1 I'm going to read up to this page of this book. I'm very specific and very intricate, but for the first time, I am going to say, it is 2021. Let's throw that out the window because I am now not going to read City of Bones as the book that I read after Phantom of the Opera. I'm reading the book that comes after this one. I did an emergency order, and Legendary, which is book number 2 in this series, is on the way. I was told, I ordered it through Amazon, and I was told it would get here in 24 hours. Wonderful. I guts to, gimme. I gotta keep going with this series because it is just that good. It's that captivating, that intriguing. It hooks you in so much. It is just so good. So the basic premise of this book is that we are following a girl whose name is Scarlet, and in her family, there are 3 members as of the time that we pick up in chapter 2. I'll explain why in just a moment. There is Scarlet, her sister Tella, which is the nickname of Donatella, her full name, and they have their father. Their father is a tyrant if ever there was one. Anytime that they basically put a toe out of line in his mind, he's very unreasonable with where the line is. If either sister puts a toe out of line, the other sister is punished, and most of the time they are physically punished. This was very hard for me to read, but I am going a little too far ahead, so let's jump back to chapter 1. In chapter 1, we have a series of letters that Scarlet is writing to a man named Legend. Scarlet and her sister grew up listening to tales from their nana, who told them all about a place called Caraval, which is a magical, mystical place where all these amazing things happen. And the more they hear about it, the more they want to go. But their father, as I said, is very much this guy who really, where he says the line is that you can't cross, is just almost impossible not to cross. And one of his rules that he has is they can't leave the area, and Caraval just never really comes to their area. So Scarlet starts writing letters to the owner of Caraval, whose name is Legend, saying, can you please bring Caraval here? It's my sister's birthday soon. I'm sure that it would make a great birthday present for her. And she writes to him consistently for 7 years, and nothing comes of it. He never even responds to her letter let alone bringing Caraval to her area. Then, many years later, she is betrothed to marry a count, and so she writes Legend one final letter saying, look, this is going to be my last one, I'm about to be married, so, you know, basically, bye-bye. And wouldn't you know it, this is the letter that he ends up responding to. He sends her a letter back with which enclosed in the envelope is 3 tickets, one for her fiance, and one for her sister to attend Caraval. Here's the issue though. Caraval is going to be held in a neighbouring island. So we have this whole concern of if they escape, what is their father going to do to them? Should they go? Should they not go? I can say that they both end up going to Caraval. I can say that much without giving away spoilers. And Caraval is very hard to explain because it's not exactly a carnival. It's not exactly a circus. It's kind of just a place that has a ton of magic, and with this magic, games like these psychological games are being played where you have clues and whoever can decipher all the clues and get to the end first wins, something like that. And I love this trope so much, okay? This is, I'm going to make a big call. At the end of 2021, Caraval will make it into my top 10 best books of 2021. That's a massive call to make in January, but just how much I was intrigued and hooked into this book and didn't want to put this book down at all. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Let's go into the spoiler section now because I have so much to talk to you guys about when it comes to the spoiler section of Caraval, so let's head over there right now. Okay, let's talk spoilers about Caraval by Stephanie Garber because we have a lot to discuss. So, I want to start off from the point where we're getting to the game because the lead up to me, it was fine, but really, the tagline on here saying, remember it's only a game, that's why I was here. I was here to watch this game play out, and I had no idea just how trippy this game was going to be, but that just made it even better for me. So I loved when we had Julian and Scarlett arriving at Caraval, and they were given this warning twice. So you knew as a reader, like I'm someone who, I love my mysteries. I love trying to work out what the reveals are going to be. So you knew this was going to be a big deal, that they're not only told the warning once, but they're told it twice, which is, yes, it's going to seem real, but none of it actually is real. So keep this in mind. Then we get to that whole point where they've got, Julian and Scarlett have been sailed across the water thing, and they go to the place, the inn where they're going to stay, and Julian doesn't make it in, and then Scarlett convinces the woman of the inn to let him back in, and oh my gosh, this was just a heart-racing moment for me, and this is kind of where it all began for me, because let's backpedal. Charlotte needed to move, and she wouldn't move. And that annoyed me. And there were moments, including that one, where I wanted to jump in the book and just give her a bit of a push. And just like, Scarlett, I keep calling her Charlotte. Scarlett, move. Because I don't want you to stand there. I want to see the game, so move. But, I really, so my heart started racing for the first time when Julian didn't make it into the inn on time. And as we know, we have that rule, if you don't make it to the inn by midnight on the first night, then you're locked out and you can't play the game. And Scarlett's mind is racing because he's meant to be helping her through the game. And she's all, you need to let him in and da-da-da-da-da. And then finally when she says, we're a special guest, we're getting married. Then the innkeeper, for whatever reason, let him in, which I really appreciated, and we talk more about the end at the end of this video. And then we get the letter. Oh, okay, this letter is so important, I need to read it word for word. This girl was last seen with Legend. If you catch her, you shall catch him as well. Of course, you may have to venture through hell, but if you succeed, you may find yourself rich. This year's winner will be granted one wish. This is your first clue on the road to find her. The others will not be so easy to retrieve. Some will make you question your sanity and all that you believe. Clue number 2 you'll discover in the rubble of her departure. Number 3 you must earn. Number 4 will cost you something valuable. And number 5 requires a leap of faith. Most of you will fall, but one will surely succeed. You have 5 nights to find the 4 remaining clues, and then the girl and legend's wish will be yours. This letter is something that I continually went back to because, as I say, I'm someone who loves to try and solve mysteries, and in many ways, even though this is a fantasy, it certainly has mystery tones to it because you know there's going to be big reveals at the end of the book. So I kept going back, going, okay, so clue number 2 is going to be found here. Clue number 3 is going to be found. Okay, so and I'm just, my mind is going up a million miles an hour with this book, and I think that was Stephanie Garber's intention because, as part of the warnings that they're given before they go into Caraval, and even Nana says the same thing to the girls when they're younger, people who play the game at Caraval, some of them have gone mad. As a reader, I went mad reading this book, but in such a good way, because I was just greedily consuming this book so fast because of how much I loved it and how crazy this book was making me. I loved the cider. I think the cider was probably one of the biggest advantages that she could have gotten in this game, because with everything turning into black and white and having only certain things being colorful, that is a massive advantage. I was just thinking, like, as I was reading that part of the book and she's walking around, when everything starts going back to colour, my very next thing would have been to go right back to that person and get another cup of cider, because I would have done the same as her, going, okay, colour is obviously very important here, so let's go back and another sip of cider, knowing what we now know, let's walk around again and see what still remains colourful. So I loved that. I loved that they were able to use the tunnels as well. I love that Scarlet was figuring out what was going on with that woman who was being rushed out of the store, and then we find out that there are a lot of things that happen at Caraval that are very real, where people are, at the very least, they're attacked. At the most, they can be murdered, and things like this. And we find this out thanks to all the tunnels that she explores. Just the magic and wonder of this world. Like when she finds the what do you call it, the logo or whatever it is in the rose bush, the first rose bush she goes to, and she presses it and it becomes stairs, and she goes down these stairs and finds these hidden tunnels. Oh my gosh, this world of Caraval is exactly how it is described to Scarlet and Teller when they were younger. It is a world of wonder. You have no idea what you're going to come across. It is such a magical place. I love the fact that it's set at night. To me, this wasn't such a big deal, other than the fact that you need to be in the inn by the end of the night, and you can only come back out once it's nightfall again. Okay, I understand that. After a while, I just kind of got used to the fact that it happened at night, and I let that go. But I just want to comment here that I can see why they did that. So now let's jump forward to when Scarlet's father and the Count arrive, or when they first see them. They're in this the Hatter shop, and is it the Hatter shop? Yes, the Hatter shop, and they're chasing them. Okay, so here's my thought, because by this time, I have gone mad. Like, I absolutely have. I am so caught up in this world where certainly it feels like absolutely anything is possible at Caraval, and those warnings have been drummed into me so many times. Don't take it all as reality, because it's an illusion. Everything that's going on is an illusion. So just know that. And even though Julian said that's what they want you to think, I always had a bad feeling about Julian, and once Julian made up that whole story about how his sister had died and that's why he was there, I did believe that, but still, I thought, okay, he's just saying that because that's the way, that's his experience, and that's what he is taking away from it, and that's how he's entering this, but I need to go into this knowing that everything's an illusion. So when the father and the Count arrived, my first thought is, that's not them. Like, this is two beings who have an illusion up to make them look like they are the dad and the Count, and this is where things went really crazy and haywire with me, with my predictions, and I kind of went a bit over the top with my predictions, so, because it turns out that they actually were the father and the Count, but here, this whole time, I'm thinking, no, this is part of the game, this is part of the test, to see how strong Scarlet's will is, if she can keep running, or she's going to fall to her quote-unquote father, who is an illusion, to his will. So the fact that she kept running, I'm like, yes, that's what you got to do. You got to keep running. This is part of the game. And then to find out actually was him was a bit of a downer, but still, it shows how caught up I was in everything. Because it's so layered. She meets Legend after she goes to that Rose carousel, merry-go-round, whatever it was, thing. And I'm going through so many different thoughts when I'm seeing Legend. My first thought is emotions and all that are heightened, and you go through all these different weird things when you're in the tunnels. So is this actually Legend, was my first thought. And I kept thinking that for the rest of the book until we started getting reveals was, is this actually Legend, or is this someone pretending to be Legend? Like, this is how I want to say paranoid, but paranoid in a good way that I was getting with this book. Like, this is not him. This is someone else. Okay, this is just some guy being evil. It's another test. And then we get that reveal with Julian. And again, I'm thinking over the top things as well. This is not Julian. This is a twin. Julian has a twin, but we didn't know that. But Legend knew that, and so he hired the twin to trick her. And Julian's still outside because remember he couldn't get into that area because he pushes Scarlet through, and he doesn't go through. So this is Julian's twin, and the twin is dying. I've watched too much PLL. Anyway, but no, it was Julian. So, I'm thinking way over the top with this book. That's how much this book sucked me in. And so Julian ends up dying, and it's a very painful moment for Scarlet and for me too, because I loved Julian and Scarlet hanging out with each other and getting really close. And when Scarlet's describing how much Julian is protective of her and how she feels really safe around him, oh my gosh, you just want that for her. After everything she's gone through in her life leading up to now, and then everything she's going through in the game, at the very least, you just want someone who's going to protect her and make her feel safe. So I loved this guy, and it was so sad when he died. So then Legend has left her a note after Scarlet accepts that Julian has died. Legend leaves her this note, and he's disappeared, saying, go left or right. It was one of them. I don't remember which, but it really doesn't matter. He just said go one way, and Scarlet's thinking, he's probably saying that to trick me, but then he probably thinks I know that, so he might be leading me the right way. Eventually she picks to go either left or right, either one of them. And she climbs up a whole bunch of staircases and then finally gets to a trapdoor in the ceiling, goes through that, and she sees Teller. Now, here's again how mad this book made me. Like, I went round the bend so many times with this book. Teller is there, and she's all happy, like, oh, it's you, oh, you're here, and I've met a man, and da-da-da. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, that's not Teller. Yep, and my paranoia kept going. That's not her. And this is me like 1 minute later. No, it's not. That's not her. 2 minutes after that, it's not her. Because during this time, Teller is saying a lot of things to Scarlet, and Scarlet's hugging her, and she's saying so many things. There is a great case that I could make that this was not Teller, because there were so many clues. I wish, next time I read this, I'm going to go back and highlight all the clues, because I didn't annotate this book at all. But I would go back, and just little things that she would say, like, oh, you don't need to worry, the game is over. Okay, no, it's not. No, that's not her. That's not her. What are you doing? This is an illusion. This is some kind of demon thing that is, glamorized itself to look like her. Why are you falling for this? This is not her. And I just started screaming at Scarlet. Scarlet, what are you doing? You need to run away. This is not her. And remember that the note that Legend had left said something about, if you don't get to her in time, you'll be going to her funeral. So he's going to kill her. And then again, how Legend said go left or go right or whatever, and Scarlet picked the way that she went. I'm thinking, what are you doing? She's the other way. You need to go back down the ladder, back down the staircase, go the other way. She's over there. This person is not her. And it just drove me absolutely nuts. And so I'm thinking, why are you still here? Move, leave. Okay, she's leaving. Teller's leaving to get dressed. Go, leave now. Why is she not moving? Drove me nuts. And then Tella's saying all these things about, oh, I met a guy and da da da. Okay, and then the guy ends up being Legend. Now let's backtrack. Well, Caspar, but let's backtrack. So there's many moments where I'm thinking, this is not Tella. What are you doing? Why aren't you leaving? This is insane. And the more things that Tella is saying, the more I'm thinking, no, 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 no. Like, just constantly in a paranoid state. No, this is not her move, Scarlet. Why aren't you leaving? Seriously, in a minute, I'm just going to come into this book, go through the trapdoor, and pull you down the ladder. We need to leave now. Why aren't you moving? When Legend comes through, and Tella's saying, this is whatever name that, they came up with that was a really ridiculous name, but anyway. And he goes, no, that person, well, eventually he says, no, that person never existed. But so he's saying Legend, who's playing this role with Tella, to Tella, in my mind, with Tella, in reality, to Tella, is saying, grab some rope and tie her up because she's absolutely crazy. We don't want her to harm herself. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is really horrible. I can see exactly what's going to happen. And I'm glad this is the spoiler section because I can say this to you guys. My thought was they were going to tie her up to the bed, and then the girl who in my mind is acting as Tella was going to go to some kind of curtain with a pulley rope and pull it up and go, well, I'm not Tella, here she is, he made the wrong choice, ha 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 ha, something like that. And then they would try and do something. It's a YA book, so I don't know what they could have done, but maybe, I don't know, lit the cage on fire or something, I don't know. But no, it really was her. And see, this is how you can tell I went completely mad reading this book. Legend is saying to Scarlet, go to the edge, and I promise I won't hurt her. Don't jump, but just go to the edge. And then she goes to the edge, and he said, look, she's trying to jump. And oh my God, seriously. And then he finally reveals that he is Legend, and that's when all of my illusions vanished, because the reaction that Tella had to, wait, you're not him? Wait, you had me, Tara? What? And that's when it all crumbled down, and I thought, oh no, this actually is real. And then the father and the count come in, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because now that I know that it's not an illusion and that it's real, what the heck is going on with the father and the count? This doesn't make sense to me, because as we know, because I think Julian or Tella told Scarlet at the start. It was at the beginning, so I don't remember too well, but someone told Scarlet that the reason her room looked ransacked before she left, and the reason why Tella's did as well, is because Tella wanted to make it look like they had been kidnapped and held for ransom. And I thought this was a really good idea. So a note was written to the father to say they'd been held for ransom, and unless, he was willing to give them what the fake kidnappers what they wanted, they would not be released. But the father doesn't know where they are, so how are they here? This doesn't make sense. Did Legend write to them? Is Legend evil? And see, all these questions going through my mind, and I'm just reading the book, you guys. Like, this is how much I love this book. I wasn't there. I was just reading it, and whoa, I was sucked in. So when we get the reveal, because let's skip forward because I've said way too much and we're running out of time. We've gone over time. So when we get to the end of the book and we're starting to get all these reveals, the first thing that's revealed is what makes the most sense as far as the father and the count guy being there, is we find out that Tella actually wrote a letter to Legend, and that she wanted to play this game so that she could, get away from her dad and all that kind of stuff. And then she, in the letter, with the ransom letter, told the dad where they were so that he could come and see them, because her agreement with Legend was that eventually she would be allowed to jump off the ledge, so that according to her abusive father, she would be dead and he would not ever come looking for her again, which is really smart for someone like Tella, who we really don't think is that incredibly smart in the beginning. So I liked that reveal. I didn't like that we didn't have clues to this. This was, you kind of, have the rug swept out from under you with this reveal, but still, that made a lot of sense, and I thought that was really smart of Tella to do. But also, something that I couldn't help but laugh at, because by the time we came to the reveals, I'm thinking two things. One, I need to know everything. If this is the reveals, answer all of my questions that I have, because I've been in situations where questions weren't always answered, PLL, and it really annoyed me. So answer all my questions and we'll be fine. And when Teller says to Scarlet, when Scarlet says, so you planned all this, everything I went through, and Teller says, well, actually, no. The only thing that was really planned was my capture and you coming up here at the end, me being able to jump off the ledge so that Father thinks I'm dead. That's it. None of the rest of it was planned, and I started laughing like a madman. Just like, you can't be freaking kidding me. Everything we went through, none of it was part of the plan. But anyway. And one of the reveals that I really appreciated was that the actors, as we find out that that's what they were, including Julian and Hunky Tattoo Guy, the actors can die within the game, and when they do, they really feel what it is that's made them die. So let's say they're stabbed, they feel the agony of the dagger that stabs them or whatever. They feel the death. But once the game is over, thanks to the magic of Caraval, the death is reversed and they come back alive. So I did like that. But I think with the players of the game, the standard players, if they're killed, they remain dead. What confuses me, though, is we were set up in this book to believe that Hunky Tattoo Guy and Julian and Hunky Tattoo Guy's sister were players in the game, and that other one, the one who was helping Scarlet at the end, but who halfway through the story was saying, you should just tell them anything because they want to be lied to. Whatever her name, not Teo, that's the other book, but whatever her name was, that one, the really, really chipper one, we're led to believe that they're all players in the game. So this is what I kind of want. I want to write a demand letter to Stephanie Garber and say, I want a list. I want to know, now that everything's been revealed, who was an actor and who was actually a player. Who, as a player, was killed and so they remained dead, and who, as an actor, was killed, itemized every single one, and came back. Because it confuses me. Was Hunky Tattoo Guy's sister actually a player in the game, or was she an actor as well? It will make sense that she would be an actor because she's his sister, but I'm confused. Anyway, so Scarlet ends up going to this party, which seriously drove me insane because Teller's saying, hey, let's go to this party. And here's Scarlet thinking, you were dead moments ago, and now you're talking about party like, calm down, sis. She doesn't say that, but, she basically is, basically saying that, and that's my thought. Calm down, Teller. We need to talk about this because this is just crazy, and now we're going to a party. But the good thing about the party is that Scarlet gets to go to the party and talk to Julian. And Julian reveals to her, which I just thought was, after everything else that's been happening, I couldn't help but laugh at this. How Scarlet says, is Julian your actual name? And he goes, well, actually, one of the things we do keep is our name, because it would be confusing if we kept changing names every now and again. And again, I laughed like a madman with that response, because I'm like, you know what? This whole thing is just ridiculous. Like, I love it. I love what Stephanie Garber did for me with this book. Let's quickly discuss the epilogue and then I'll wrap it up. So the epilogue has led us into the next thing. Teller was dancing with a guy and they were starting to get a little too intimate for a YA for my liking, but anyway. And then she feels a heavy weight in the pocket of her dress, which, by the way, a pocket in a dress? Anyway, pocket in her dress. And she goes outside and reads a note that says, you now owe me your payment, something like that, and I'm going to be coming to collect it, your friend. And that's how it ends, which sets us up for book 2, which all I know is that book 2 has Teller as the protagonist playing a game at Caraval. And that's all I need to know, because I need to play this game again. I want to live in this world, because it's just driving me absolutely nuts, but in such a good way. So let's wrap things up, shall we? Okay. This book, to me, was incredible from start to end. I do not remember the last time I picked up a non-Sanderson book that made me fall so quickly into the book. As I said, I know that I was reading it, but I feel like I literally walked into the book and I was in this actual world myself. I wasn't reading it out here. And I loved it so much that As I've already said, I did an emergency purchase on Amazon, and after I read my next book, which is going to be a very quick read, I'm going to be reading Legendary. I am breaking my January TBR. I don't care. Screw it. I need to read book 2, and I need to read it now because, oh my gosh, I'm going insane with this first book, so I need to just, while I'm still insane, I need to read book number 2. So this was incredible, 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and as I said at the start of my review for this book, I'm making a massive prediction that this is going to be one of my favorite books for 2021. I'm so happy that I read it, and yeah, we'll see how things go from here. But that is where I am going to leave it, letting you guys go in peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading!